welcome back to my channel. It's just another chatty Sunday when I'm filming this video, but I'm hoping it will get to you within the next few days. Today's video is a question that I want to pose to you. It's just going to be a chatty video. No real structure to this video. I just want to sit down and have a chat with you. So if you're in the mood to do that, grab yourself a drink or just sit down, chill out, or even just stick me on in the background when you're doing your errands and let's talk. I wanted to pose a question to you. Is my love of luxury keeping me single? Is your love of luxury keeping you single? So today's video is going to be a little bit more personal. I'm going to share with you my thoughts and a little bit of background on my dating history, which is something that I usually wouldn't come on here to talk about. Any psychs or any lovers of the human mind, I would love to hear your thoughts on today's video and share with them in the comment section down below. Just a little bit of a backstory. I have been single for... It's 2021. It honestly could be about like, no, it's not been 2 years. It's been longer than 2 years. Wow. Has it been longer than 2 years? Maybe 3 or 4. It's been like maybe 3 or 4 years I've been single. Honestly, if you know what I mean, like if you've been single like I have for a long time, you just, at this point, you just lose track. And also, I've really only had 2 relationships in my life and both of them were quite short term. One was when I was like 18 to like 20ish, so like really 2 years, and the other one was literally like only months long. Which has led me to wonder over the years if my love of luxury is part of what's keeping me single and what's part of the problem, other than my just general taste in men. And I feel like, you know what I mean? If you've been single for a while, like the longer you're single, like the more you're okay with yourself and like the more fussy you are. Like I've always been quite fussy, as people say. But also like I'd rather be alone than with someone who's just like not at all a vibe for me. What I genuinely wonder, and again, this is going to vary depending on your circumstances and where you live and like various other factors. But I honestly wonder if dating is harder if you have expensive taste. And maybe you didn't necessarily grow up having that taste. Like maybe you didn't grow up in affluent circles and maybe you didn't go to like a really good private school and you didn't grow up in a really well-off rich area and you know, like you come from a working class background and you live in a small little city. I wonder if it makes it harder to date if you have a love of expensive things, if you weren't naturally raised that way, if that makes sense. I don't see a lot of men and women dressed in designer items or wearing designer clothes, and a lot of time if they are, usually like, you know, 40, 50, 60, and usually if I see a man who's wearing designer clothes, he's usually 40, 50, 60. And it's usually because his wife has like helped him pick out said clothes or like introduced him to designer clothes. Also, I've often wondered if putting myself online makes it even harder. This is just like a little side rant, by the way, to like the luxury side of things, but I've often wondered if putting myself online in this way makes it harder to date. Like amazing some of the experiences I've had, and it got to the point where for so long I tried, and I still try to keep that separate. Like if I start dating a guy, I usually don't let him find me on Instagram, or I don't tell him about my YouTube videos. I don't tell him any of that. Just because like every time I ever have, I don't ever want him to think that he has an idea of who I am as a person. I've been on dates with men that all they want to do is talk about my YouTube channel and all they want to do is talk about my videos, and like they think they know me and like they've told me they've watched all my videos and I'm like, ugh. I've also been on dates with men that have asked me how much my entire handbag collection costs, which to me, like talking about money in that way is like, it's just not really appropriate. I've been on dates with men who've asked me how much my rings cost. And by the way, world's smallest violin, I know this is a really, really privileged first world problem. I'm well aware of that. I've had men shame me for how much I choose to spend and how much I choose to spend on certain fashion items. I also had one particular man tell me that he was quite surprised by how my Instagram looks versus who I am in real life. He assumed that I would be like some Beverly Hills housewife's daughter, like really just, I don't know what that means, but okay. And honestly, those little things are triggers for me, especially when somebody shames me or makes me feel uncomfortable with how much I choose to spend. That usually just triggers me, and I pretty much ultimately no longer see them as like dating potential material if they make me feel uncomfortable in that type of way. This is where I'm gonna get controversial, okay? Feel free to rebuttal in the comments below or share with me what you think, but I honestly wonder if and some of you might be like, Caitlin, honey, you're just blaming the fact that you're single, like, on your expensive taste. I honestly wonder if maybe men feel threatened by it, or maybe they see me as like too high maintenance. Maybe they feel pressured, and maybe men feel that they would need to provide those nice things for us, for me, for you, and maybe that puts them off wanting to date. But where in actual fact, like, no man I've ever dated has ever bought me a luxury item. No man I've ever dated has ever bought me anything expensive like that. I've always just bought that for myself, and I've never expected it from someone I've dated. I often wonder if they worry that they have to provide that for us, or they worry that our spending habits and our expensive taste may put a strain on the relationship. Following on from that kind of feeling of being threatened, I also wonder if it's just like kind of like an insecurity of some men, and maybe some women, I don't know. But I've even had men tell me not to dress up too much and tell me, look, it's not a fancy restaurant, like, don't need to dress up. And I'm like, okay, but also, like, if I wanted to dress up, I would want you to be supportive of that. You know what I mean? Like, I've also had men who I've suggested a restaurant that I want to try, and they tell me, oh, like, I don't have anything to wear to that. Like, that's too fancy. I don't go there. Like, I wouldn't have anything to wear there. And just things like that. Maybe it's a money thing. Maybe it's a taste thing. It's always just been, I found it always really odd. I love like all different types of restaurants. You'll catch me at like wing spots. You'll catch me at burger joints, but you'll also catch me from time to time. I like to go to nice restaurants. And I don't know, like, I live in Adelaide, like, how nice do you have to dress up to go to places like that? I don't really think you have to dress up that nicely. But yeah, it's just, I've always found that really weird. This has also really been sparked by a conversation that I had with a particular man, a lovely man in my DMs. And I don't actually know if he really wants me to like put him on blast here, I don't know. But we had a really great conversation about this, and I don't want to mention his name because I actually don't know if he wants me to mention his name, but I'm sure like if he wants to be named, he'll make himself known in the comments below. We were talking about it, and I honestly wonder if it comes down to maybe personal values, or, look, hate to say it, but does it come down to your financial situation? I don't know. I've often said this, I don't know about you, but I really don't expect my future partner to be obsessed or to like designer items or to buy luxurious items. Hell, like, I don't even expect them to buy me anything luxury. Like, that's not at all an expectation of mine. I would just love to not feel judged or not feel to be made uncomfortable for what I choose to spend of my money on particular things. Is that too much to ask for? Maybe it is. I also don't necessarily know if I believe it comes down to dating someone in a similar financial situation. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think that would probably make things a lot easier, and that's like a whole separate video we could talk about, but there's just like certain little things that maybe you've experienced and maybe you haven't, where maybe you're just in a little bit of a different financial situation to someone, and you know, those little things, like, they can be made easier if you're kind of on similar financial, what's the word? You know what I'm saying? Like, similar financial situations, status, if you will. Ugh. I just think it comes down to dating someone who is laid back in the sense of, I don't want to say they're not a tight ass, because don't be wrong, like, I have tight ass tendencies from time to time, but just like not imposing your own beliefs on somebody else, you know, and not making someone feel uncomfortable for what they choose to spend, not making someone feel like you don't understand them or they don't understand you, because that's often how I've felt. I don't know about you, but I've often felt that way with men. Like, I'm like, oh, I do not see a future with you because you don't understand, and you just make me feel like I spend so much money, and you just make me feel like we're never going to be able to hang out or do nice things. This is where I'm going to get super personal. I've also wondered if it just comes down to personal experiences. Like, I don't know about you, but it's quite funny actually how women get such a bad rap for being gold diggers. I have dated my fair share of gold diggers. Okay, I've dated my fair share of gold diggers. But also on the other hand, like, I've met and I've talked to women in my DMs who say how nice it would be to date a man who loves luxury and like loves designer items. Okay, look, I've been there as well, and truly, like, it doesn't make or break a person. It doesn't make it any better, because like, I've got some stories. Okay, I've had men tell me what brands I should and shouldn't shop with. I've had men ask me to tell them what I'm gonna wear before I go on a date with them, not because they feel insecure, but because they feel they know more about fashion than I do, and that gives them the right to impose their own beliefs and tell me that my wardrobe sucks. Yeah, I've seen it all. Okay, so I don't actually think it comes down to that. I guess to wrap up this video, what I've kind of thought is, you know, I think having an unusual, like, keyword being unusual, shopping habit, or really any unusual or maybe expensive hobby, especially in a small city, probably just automatically makes it hard for women to date. I don't actually think it has the same effect on men. Like, for instance, you know, men who collect really expensive cars, for instance. Not many women would look down on that and be like, oh God, like he has an expensive car taste. Oh God, I can't keep up with that. I don't know. I've often wondered if it goes back to just like our patriarchal society where, you know, if a woman has expensive taste, men often look at that and think, oh God, like gold digger, she's gonna want me to buy her all her things. I don't know, like I've often wondered that. But then on the flip side, I mean, this conversation in my DMs was with a gay man and he felt exactly the same way. So I often wonder if just, you know, especially being in a smaller city, if you're having unusual or like outside of the norm hobby or interest or indulgence, if you will, you're often seen as an outsider. You're different in that way, and like they maybe see it as a bad thing. Getting back on my feminist high horse, I genuinely still believe that there are men out there who see women in positive and really good, healthy financial situations, and that can threaten a man's ego. Knowing that there's really not much that a woman would rely on you for can really still to this day damage a man's ego. Hello, handsome. You want to say hello to our friends? You are the best man in the world. I mean, it's very bright, isn't it? Yeah, you don't judge me for how much I spend, do you? Say, no, mommy, you buy whatever you like. It just means that I get to see the DHL man more. Yes, you love DHL man, don't you? You love to see him at the door. Beautiful boy. Let mommy wrap up this video and then mommy get your dinner, okay? My hungry little bear. You know the time, don't you? You know that it's 5:02. You're like, mommy, my dinner is late. And with the rise and liberation of feminism and like women in general, men kind of don't really know where they stand, because back in the day, women would marry men, and one of the biggest things they would rely on men for is, you know, financial stability, financial security. That's two things, but you know, under the same umbrella. And now in today's world, women can offer that for themselves. Women can provide that for themselves. And if you don't need a man, that can often be really a threat to a man's ego. You know, they don't really know where they stand. They don't really know what they have to bring to the table, because they just genuinely think that, you know, them just being nice, decent human beings is not enough. Share with me all your thoughts. Share with me your experiences. Share with me what you have to say in the comments down below. And even if you're dating someone right now, if you're married, if you're with someone, if you've just broken up with someone, if you're single as hell like me, share with me all your thoughts in the comments down below. Does your partner, has any of your partners previously, whether you're male, female, whatever other gender you identify as, do they like luxury? Do they like designer things? Do they have similar interests to you? Share with me all your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for joining me today for just another chatty Sunday. I'm honestly wondering if I should make this a series and upload them on Sunday. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me in today's video. And I'm gonna have another one linked to you right here. If you haven't had enough of me just yet, feel free to join me over there. I can't wait to hear from you in the comments down below. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in my next one.